Good evening, everybody. Good evening. So I wanted to come on a couple minutes early because if you weren't here for our live this morning, there is an update on Baby Taylen Mosley. So we are hoping that this is going to be good news, but I don't know. Let me see. So if you weren't here this morning, basically Taylin Mosley's been missing since Thursday afternoon. He was last seen with his mother around 5:20 p.m. the night before on Wednesday, and his mother was found the next day by the apartment complex, like management or somebody at the apartment. They went to do a welfare check. They found the mother deceased in the apartment, dead, they said a violent crime. So 2-year-old Taylin Mosley's been gone ever since then. No one has seen him. The father, we found out in the press conference from this morning, the father went to his mother's house after leaving Passion's house, which that's Taylin's mother. After leaving Passion's house, he went to his mother's house, and his mother someone observed cuts on his arms and on his hands and told the police that. So big news coming up. So I want to go ahead and get this on the stream and see if they're doing the update yet. Yep, they are. So let me go ahead and rewind it a little bit.
Anthony Holloway.
Okay. It's with great sadness I have to inform you here today that Taylon's body has been found. It is my condolences going out to the family and to his loved ones. We are sorry that it had to end this way. Through investigative technique, we were able to find an area around Dell Holmes Park that led the investigators to that area. The detectives had been there all afternoon, and while they were there, they were spotted an alligator with an object in his mouth. As the detectives got closer, they fired one round to the alligator. The alligator dropped the object that he had in his mouth, and we were able to retrieve Taylon's body intact. The father, Thomas Mosley, is now being charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. I can tell you now that Taylon's mom, Miss Jeffries, her body was stabbed multiple times. Until the medical examiner has a chance to look at Taylon's body, we cannot tell you the cause of death. I would like to thank all the law enforcement agencies that assisted us today, or since Wednesday, and a special thanks to our detectives here at St. Pete Police Department. These men and women have worked tirelessly since Wednesday at 2:30 trying to find hoping for Taylon for a better outcome. But again, that didn't happen. Needless to say, tomorrow we don't need the volunteers to come out to assist us in looking for Taylon, but I just want to again thank everybody for volunteering to come out to help us. With that, remember this is an ongoing investigation, so I will try to answer some of your questions.
And after almost 2 days of looking for little Taylon, I know you've had so many crews on the ground searching, and brought in, all hands on deck, like you said. I mean, this has got to be tough for your team to see things end like this on Friday.
It's very tough because these men and women, again, since Wednesday at 2:30, they've been working tirelessly trying to find Taylon. And we didn't want to find him this way, but at least we can bring some closure to that family now. Again, there's emotions up and down because as they're doing investigating, they're following up the leads that we were hoping that we could find him alive. So these detectives and these law enforcement agency officers, they go through a lot. And tomorrow, guess what? They got to start all over again doing something else. But my hat off to these men and women for being able to do this. At this time, we're not going to talk about that. Again, we're still doing this ongoing investigation.
If someone spoke with you at all, kind of, what was the reaction to once that alligator is shot, to seeing that as a human body that the alligator had, if the officer that found him was able to speak to that?
I'm sorry, you're asking about...
I guess, what was the reaction, I guess, to seeing the human body in an alligator's mouth after that shot was fired?
Well, I can't tell you that. Just think about anybody. The officer sees a body of a child. What would be your reaction to that? What would you think? So that officer, he or she has to, they've been working since Wednesday, and they see a child in an alligator's mouth. So they got to do their job, but at the same time, I can't tell you their reaction. I can tell you probably a lot of emotion went through their body, but they still had to do their job.
How does one separate the job and the emotion, if that's even possible?
These men and women do it each and every day. They come to work, they investigate a case. Now they got to put a case together to make sure that Mosley get convicted of this. So they got to do their job on that, and they do it. They do it quite well.
Chief, are those 2 counts of first-degree murder? Is that one for passion, one for Taylon, or what are those counts for? Is he charged with both of their deaths, or just passion's death?
He's charged with both of their death. 1 count for passion and 1 count for Taylon.
But you said the cause of death for the child is still pending, right? So we don't know if he was deceased before he went into the lake or after?
That is correct. So that's what we're trying to determine.
And then where is this lake in relation to the apartment complex?
So how far away is that?
It's miles.
It's several miles.
So it
If-
would have to be an intentional act, not like he just wandered out.
So let's just give you an example. Where the incident happened is way out on Gandy in 4, Lake McGorry is at 22nd South.
Is any Wydell Home Park, is that where the father lives?
Again, this is an ongoing investigation, and through investigation technique, we were able to zone in on that area.
And Chief, we heard that Mosley went to the hospital with cuts. Can you tell us if there was a fight back from Passion, if she was stabbed by him?
Again, this is an ongoing investigation, and all I can tell you, like I said, when he went to check himself into the hospital, he had cuts to his hands and to his arms.
Do we know if he's still in the hospital?
He is still there.
Since your last update, has he said anything to you? Or has he said anything about anything?
When the detectives went out and spoke to him, he didn't want to talk to the detectives, and then later on, he asked for an attorney.
You said police fired a round at the alligator. Have you taken the alligator in at all, or is the alligator back in the lake?
The alligator was killed.
Alligator was killed, okay.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Breaking news on WFLA Now. Here's JB Buno.
Okay, sorry about that. I had to take my headphones out. Well, that's like not the news that I was wanting at all. But so what was in the alligator's mouth? The baby was. So, oh my gosh. I wasn't expecting to hear that. Thank God I could turn my camera off, because if you guys would have saw my face, I'm like shaking right now. Because what the hell? Man, okay, so if you guys are just now joining us, we are going to be talking about Idaho 4 tonight, but we just found out that baby Taylen Mosley is 2 years old. They've been searching for him after his mother was found killed in her apartment on Thursday. They've been looking for him. The little boy, they found him deceased today, and they found him near a lake or in a lake. I think that's what they found him inside of an alligator's mouth. I can't imagine being the police that roll up on that situation and you see that. My God, that poor baby, those poor people that saw that family that we saw today, those family members that we saw at that press conference today. I hope that the Lord above is with them people tonight, because they are going to need some prayers. Oh my Lord. Yeah, the father needs fed to the damn gators. There will be death penalty on the table, Teresa said. Oh, I bet at Florida, this is a prime example of a case that should have the death penalty. Oh my Lord, I'm just like, wow. I couldn't imagine being the officers and that little boy. And so he was such far out that they said that there's no possible way that he just like moseyed on off, which I could turn my camera on now, but my eyes kind of bother me. But there are sick people out there. And so I don't think that as far as I know, I don't think that the father was really in his life that much, but I don't really know because he was there earlier that day. So I'm hearing like conflicting reports on that. I don't think that they were together. But maybe this was like a domestic violence situation gone terribly freaking wrong. We'll find out, I'm sure. He wasn't talking earlier today when we found out that the suspect, the father, of Taylon, that we found out that he had went to his mother's house with injuries to his hands and his arms. And then he later went to the hospital with those injuries, and he was still in the hospital today. So he must have been released today since our live this morning or this afternoon, and then must have went home, and now they're there. Because I heard that the cops, you guys are saying the police and stuff are there. So make sure my iPad's turned down. So yeah, this is just crazy. Yeah, threw him in the water, killed him and threw him in the water. And you know what? He probably maybe tried to throw him in the water. Do you think because gators are there? And he thought because he was so small. Wow. Really? I didn't know that, Michelle. She said at one time in this country's history, black people or black babies were fed to the gators as bait. I hope the father of this baby burns. Oh my Lord, I didn't know that. Oh my Lord. Yeah, I hope he does too. Oh my Lord. Yeah, man, I just want to, let me get a little picture of him real quick because he was just the cutest. I want to get a picture on here so we think of him in the best way possible. Let's get him and his mama on here. I like this picture of him and his mom. Well, he's like not with her in the picture, but they're standing side by side because if you see this shirt, it says his name on it. So they're together. That's so sad. Makes me want to cry. I know my voice broke, but yeah, it makes me want to cry. Just, man. People, there's something wrong with somebody when you take out the mother that carried your baby for 9 months and then was on this earth for 2. That's just a whole other level of sickness that I can't even comprehend. So I'm sorry to bring the saddest news possible tonight, but we're going to try to move on and go back to Idaho because I had some stuff to show you on Idaho. Maybe it'll knock me back into being mad and angry at Coburger again. Because this little baby, him and his mama, though, I don't know. Because if you think, I don't know, that little baby could have seen things. I just hope that it was quick and that baby didn't feel anything. Okay. Oh man, my eyes like itching really bad. I'm not crying. I'm really not. My eyes just really itchy today. So, I think it's damn allergies going around. So let's see where we're at here. The stuff that I wanted to show you guys tonight was, like how they went over like the DNA on the knife sheath, if it's going to help the defense or the prosecution in this case. There was just some more, news that came out. Also, I found a part in the PCA that is just worded a little, it's worded completely different than what they're saying. So I'll show you guys that in between the videos. But I do have some stuff to show you guys tonight. Hopefully this will get a little better. Let me switch it over to Banfield because, maybe she'll make it better. Oh no, Teresa, you're fine. I'm glad that you told me. I'm angry too. I'm really angry. Usually I'm going off, but I'm just like, oh. I'm glad the camera was off. Because that was, like, who does that? I still can't even get that. They did find the baby, yeah. And they found the baby in an alligator's mouth inside of a lake or like a creek, or I don't know if you call that reservoir. So that's why we're kind of getting late on going on Idaho. Whew, but this is just, yeah, this is a terrible world. I'm fortunate sometimes to say that I don't have children, like just because I would just hate to have to raise them in this kind of a world. But you know what? I think every generation probably says that once they get a certain age. Like my parents probably said that. My parents' parents probably said that. But it just seems like it's getting really bad. Like I just know, like with my parents, it was, I don't know, we were good kids. Yeah. So they had like, so what we did today, we did a press conference earlier, hi, Princess. And we did the press conference earlier from, like we listened to the one from yesterday and then today. And then tonight when we were getting ready to do the live, Teresa lives near the area. And so she came on the live early and was like, hey, they're doing a press conference at 8:15. So I hopped on early and we just heard the worst news. It was only about a 5-minute presser, but that was only 5 minutes that we needed. Like you could tell by the officers, the look on his face as soon as I was like, this isn't going to be good. I don't know if you guys heard me say that, like, but as soon as I saw him come on the screen, I was like, this is not going to be good for this little boy. And it wasn't. And he put him in a lake, and you know, he probably put him there so that the alligators would get him. That's just it's very chilling. Yes, Tracy, you're absolutely right. Let me see if they have. What's his name? Okay, I'll write it down. Thomas Mosley. Oh, look at, oh wait, that's not him. It wouldn't be East Bay, would it? No, that'd be too fast. No. I was going to see if I could try to find something on him real quick, if there was anything I could find. I bet he's, I mean, it's probably not even like trending, which it should be. Okay, let's see. Three minutes ago. Oh. It doesn't say, it just says that from earlier. I know, yeah, it's every day. It's all the time. So, okay, man, wow. That was like, I did not expect that tonight. I don't like that kind of news. Like, they were like holding his picture up earlier. You know, I'm just thinking of the boys, those like young men that were like, you know, with the family. You could tell like they were trying to be together, and you could just tell when they pulled out the signs. That one boy was like, he was about to lose it. I was just like insane. So let's see, how do they do this on the news? Like, how do people report and then just switch it? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I only knew this kid for like a day, and I'm over here like it's stunned. I can't even move on. That family is going to be really strong. That family knew within like, I mean, they saw her the night before at 5:20, and she didn't call them for like an 8:30 FaceTime that she did like every morning, and they knew something was wrong. Like, we all talked about this earlier. Our parents wouldn't even, or our friends and family wouldn't even find us, or wouldn't even care to call, you know? They'd just be like, oh, whatever. They'll get here sometime. That's what my brother would say. He would say, she'll come to the next holiday or something. So that's what they would say. So in the first video here, this one is just one that was from a couple of days ago, and I didn't see it, and I played it, and I thought it was kind of nice. So like the beginning of it anyway. And then the next video, I'll tell you about that one in just a moment. So we'll watch this one, and then I will see if there's anything going on with Taylon's father as well.
I want to bring in national correspondent Alex Capriello now, whose team was able to shoot some video at the home, 1122 King Road, has some more exclusive reporting for us. Alex, what did you see there today?
Yeah, an absolutely beautiful moment. In fact, first, let me set up that this memorial has grown tremendously since when I was here in December and January. Part of that, I think, has to do with the amount of snow that was on the ground. But now that it's all melted, I've seen more flowers, more pictures of the 4 victims, more stuffed animals and the like. And so what I witnessed was these 2 young women who stopped by this memorial to pray. It really is quite a beautiful thing to see. They had no idea that I was sitting inside the car with my camera rolling, and so that's what made it especially powerful for me, because I realized that even though this case and this gruesome crime is so many months removed, there are so many people here in this town and from all over, in fact, that really feel drawn to this case and feel sympathy for these victims, so much so that they want to personally stop by, get on their knees and pray. And so now when we're talking about religion and the way that so many of us feel about it, Coburger's receiving his religious counsel in jail, we also are seeing that so many people are expressing their faith right there in front of what was once a very tremendously difficult house to be in front of.
So, Alex, I know that you've been out and about a lot today. You were talking to neighbors and college kids there. You were at the WSU campus in Pullman, Washington, where Brian Coburger was a criminology student. Where are you now, and what did you gather today?
Well, right now I'm standing outside the Latah County Jail. We know that Coburger is just right behind me, locked up in his cell. But I spent my entire day not only within the neighborhood where King Road is and speaking to those neighbors, but also in Pullman, which is about 15 miles to the west, working on the Washington State University campus. What I can tell you, though, just from my time here in Moscow, especially out on King Road, is that it really feels as if things are getting back to normal for these University of Idaho students. As you mentioned in the past, you know, at one point this was so difficult to find anyone that would want to speak to a reporter. But in fact, I'm finding them to be a lot more friendly now. It feels like things are moving forward. I'm hearing music on the street. I'm seeing University of Idaho students walking, laughing, talking, going into their homes. I've heard from people that it feels refreshing to hear partying happening within the house, right? You know, where at one point, partying might have been disruptive for someone who's sleeping. It actually feels nice to hear these University of Idaho students blasting their music and enjoying themselves. So really a turning of the tide here in Moscow when it comes to overall sentiments and feelings, as if they're making progress personally when it comes to this case and putting it in the past.
And then what about your experience on the campus at WSU and, you know, when you were trying to get some answers from the place where he studied criminology?
Yeah, exactly. This was a big part of our day today, going and visiting the Washington State University campus. What I really wanted to do here was to speak to Professor John Snyder. He works within the criminology department, and we know that Brian Coburger was his direct teaching assistant. We know from his termination letter that both Professor Snyder and Coburger had several altercations together, and I really wanted to ask him about that, not only the tiffs that they might have had professionally, but also about their working relationship and how that was, what Coburger was interested in, how they worked together. And what I found was Professor Snyder's door was closed, locked off, and he was not in there. When I asked around, I found out that he actually removed his office hours, which are typically listed on the professor's doors, because he's been receiving so much attention over the past few months, given the facts that I just shared with you, that he had at one point a relationship with Coburger. I dug a little bit deeper, actually went to the department heads in the criminology department, and what I found was it appeared that they seemed a bit panicked to see me. In fact, they very abruptly locked the door and closed it on me and wouldn't answer any of my questions. So it's clear that unfortunately Coburger has left somewhat of a black eye on not only the Washington State University campus, but also on this criminology department.
I'm just watching this video of you trying to make contact, and clearly, yeah, it looks like they weren't having any part of it. I suppose I feel for them as well. I think there's a very wide wake of those who've been affected, you know, by this crime. Some, of course, far more than others. But Alex Capriello, thank you for doing all that work today. Appreciate it.
You got it.
Sorry, I was watching chat and trying to listen to this at the same time. But I saw something. Oh, Eddie, is he really on the run? You have to let me know if you know of anything that's like circulating. I saw JLR he's not on live anymore, and I don't see that they like caught him. So let me check over here. Oh. Yeah, they're like over here on WFLA, I believe that was what it is. They're saying like they're not saying that anyone's been in custody yet. I don't think so. But it looks like they're still streaming it live, so I'll keep my eye out on everything. So that way we will know. If you're just now joining us, hello, hi, and welcome to the channel. We are talking about Idaho 4 tonight, but we're talking about Taylin Mosley, this little boy that they found him 2 years old. They found him. He's 2 years old. They found his mother deceased on Thursday. They found him deceased today, this afternoon. So, yeah, Olivia, is he still in the hospital? Because the dad was in the hospital, but I thought maybe he got out. So, so maybe he still is in the hospital. Because like he was in the hospital this afternoon, so I didn't know if he had gotten out of the hospital yet. But maybe, I bet you if they discharged him, the cops would probably be the first people those doctors and nurses would call. I bet you the cops called them and was like, "Hey, if he leaves, you know what I'm saying? Give us a call so we know. That way we could be waiting outside to follow him." So he is Margot, this guy is going to be caught for the dad. They're chasing the dad, or they're going after the dad for the murder of his son and his the mother of his daughter, or I'm sorry, the mother of his son. I don't know why I said daughter. Very, very strange. It's just, and it's, I mean, like, and then they found the little boy in an alligator's mouth. Like, what the heck is this? Oh, he's been Baker acted? Like, yeah, I think the same thing as 5150, right? Just they hold him on mental health, like a mental hold. No shoestrings for you kind of deal. Oh, Joy said the father signed himself in. The cops just said he was arrested. Oh, wow. I hope they pulled him out of that hospital and didn't give him anything for his stupid cuts. I hope they, there's a lot of things I'd like to pour in those wounds. Oh, that's a good thing though, Leslie. She said that's a good nervous wreck. She's a nervous wreck. Her grandson Logan is going with a group tomorrow to help clean up for the Rolling Fork Armory tornado. Oh, that's a good thing though. Like wow. Yeah, throw his ass in the lake. Acid. Yeah, I was thinking alcohol, like straight alcohol, but I was like, I don't know if that would really burn. Yeah, they must have just like, oh wow, yeah. Because I didn't see anything yet, but I've been talking to you guys on this side, so let me see. It's insane. Like, yeah, nothing on Twitter yet, but that's not to say that things aren't moving. Oh wait, it just says search continues after mother. Yeah, that was 19 seconds ago. We will keep our ears listened. Oh yeah, Joe, looking at you. Yeah, HIPAA laws. Maybe they couldn't call. Well, I don't know if they could probably still call the cops and tell them that somebody was leaving the building. They just couldn't give them any health, stuff, whatever. So they go over in this next video. They're going to go over the DNA that was found on the knife sheath and how it was sent out to a private lab. I believe it was a private lab in Texas. And so in the first video that I'm going to show you, the next one actually here, I think it's this one. Let me double check. Actually, it's not this one, it's the next one. So just kidding. This one is just going to be over how like the community is healing after the student deaths and stuff. I thought this was a different one. It'll be the next one I show you. Sorry, guys. Oops. I didn't mean to do that to you guys. And if you have any questions, just let me know. If you guys wouldn't mind liking the video, it does help the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel. And I will be in the chat with you guys. This is only a few minutes long on this video.
Newly released documents in the Brian Coburger case revealing possible misconduct of an officer involved in the investigation into the quadruple murders of 4 Idaho college students. The documents state an internal affairs investigation is being submitted to the court, and this could also involve new information that could help the defense in the future. A preliminary hearing for Coburger is set for June 26th, and it all comes as the Moscow community is settling into this new normal, continuing to honor and remember the 4 lives taken too soon. NewsNation's Alex Capriello is live in Moscow. Alex, you've seen several people at that house paying their respects.
Yeah, that's right, Nicole. In fact, this memorial that you've seen outside this house over the past few months has actually gotten significantly bigger. Now that the snow has melted, there's much more to see and remember when it comes to those 4 innocent lives lost on that night in November.
Outside the home, where 4 University of Idaho students were viciously murdered, a memorial stands. It's weathered and worn, but not forgotten. Security tells me people often stop by, place flowers, and take pictures. Here, you could see 2 women get on their knees and pray. They're unaware that our cameras are rolling and capturing this beautiful moment of peace and reflection.
It's good to hear that you're doing better.
Speaking to neighbors, it feels as if life is slowly getting back to normal in Moscow. The raucous sounds of music and merriment, which might at one point have felt disruptive, now signals that students are moving on with their lives.
It makes the students a lot more at ease. I see them, they have like a lot of party houses down the street, and I hear them partying every weekend. So it makes me feel better knowing that students have relaxed, for sure.
While Coburger is locked up 2 miles from the crime scene, the Washington State University Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology, where he once served as a teaching assistant, is also moving forward with spring classes. I'm told Professor John Snyder, who Coburger reported to, has removed his office hours from his door due to the constant scrutiny he's faced. According to Coburger's termination letter issued before his arrest, Snyder and the accused murderer had several altercations. Administrators within the department quickly locked and slammed the door on me and refused to answer my questions about their professional relationship.
And Washington State University has released a statement back in January that says that their faculty is fully cooperating with this police investigation. Now, we also have some new details related to the Coburger family. A source close to the family tells us that Coburger's 2 sisters have actually lost their jobs due to their relationship with their brother. We're also hearing that the family is struggling financially with that looming trial set to begin in June.
Thank you for watching.
I don't know how like his parents are any more financially in debt than they were before their son. Let me turn my camera on. Before their son committed this crime. Like that can't be a reason. Like they were broke before Coburger got caught murdering 4 people, or allegedly, got caught. Well, he got caught, but allegedly that's what he did. So I just thought that was kind of ironic that they said that. In the next 2 videos, it's going to be kind of I don't even know. I felt like it was like a roller coaster when I watched these videos. So in the first video here, let me get my notes really quick. In the first video, it is going to be Brian Enton, and they're going to go over the DNA found on the knife sheath and how it was like sent out to a private lab. So in the first video, he's going to talk with author Howard Bloom. He is the author, Howard Bloom's the author of the Airmail series that we have went over. We went over it on this channel before. There's like 3 series to it. They were I think the first 2 were pretty long, and then the second one was a lot shorter, or the third one, I'm sorry. The third one was a lot shorter. So if you want to check those out, they are on the channel. But he is an author that he wrote the Airmail series. He says that it's fine that it was sent out to an independent lab, but just so keep that in mind. Howard Bloom is going to say like, yeah, no problem, sent out to an independent lab. Then in the next video, Miss Banfield's going to be talking with, I think his name is Mark O'Mara, and he seems to think that it could hurt the prosecution. So I don't know, it's just kind of crazy. You're going to hear from the same news station, but it's going to be like, I don't know, a little bit different sides. So let me know what you guys think. If you think that's like a problem with them sending that, the DNA out or the knife sheath out to be found, to have the DNA found. I don't really know if it's a problem or not, but we'll see what these people have to say about it.
There are new questions about the knife sheath and where it was sent to be tested. My next guest has new information on that. Joining us now is journalist and best-selling author Howard Bloom, who has worked for the New York Times and Vanity Fair. He is currently writing a book about Bryan Coburger and covering the case for Airmail News. Thank you so much for coming on, Howard. I'm a big fan of your recent articles on the case. Appreciate you taking the time tonight. I want to talk about the testing of this knife sheath and what you have learned about it.
Well, as you pointed out earlier, the police were all along moving forward, even though we in the media, the public didn't know what was happening. And they were focusing on Bryan Coburger. But they couldn't completely make the case so they could issue an arrest warrant. What they did is they had the knife sheath, and they had on the button of the knife sheath, they had touch DNA. And they had no way to tie that to Coburger. And the Idaho lab came up with this idea of using a separate lab in Texas. This lab had specialized in proprietary devices that made what is called kinship DNA. You could figure out a relative of the DNA that you already had. And this lab was set up to investigate unsolved murders. It was backed by some Silicon Valley venture capitalists. It was a never before used in a present case, just only in cold cases.
So let me just interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you, but you're saying this lab that they sent the knife sheath to has never been used before except in cold cases?
Yes, this was the first time they were willing to take a chance. They wanted desperately to make an arrest. They wanted desperately to tie the suspect to this knife sheath. So meanwhile, in Pennsylvania, they gathered, they had that midnight garbage run. Right. They picked up garbage that was the father's DNA. They could then send that to the lab, tie it to the knife sheath, and they could make this kinship. And now they could say within 0.99.9% positive. Right.
I just want to zero in, Howard, on this Texas lab, because this is new information that you've reported that I didn't know until you reported it. When you say never before done technology that they're using, that it's only been used on cold cases, I mean, couldn't this be an issue for the prosecution? This seems like something the defense could really zero in on. Why did the knife sheath get sent to this lab that has never done this kind of work before?
I don't think so. I actually think it will reinforce the prosecution's case. This lab is very respectable. Their cases, their evidence has been, the methodology has been held up in court time after time, and I think this reinforces the prosecution's case. I don't think it will be, it's not a positive for Coburger.
Let me ask you, because we did a story at the Idaho crime lab, looked very advanced. It was our understanding at the time that they were the ones doing all of the testing. Why would they need to send it to Texas?
They did not have the DNA that could prove kinship, relationship. And only this lab in Texas had this proprietary mechanism to do this. In fact, way before the Coburger case, the state of Idaho had signed a contract with this lab in case something came up in a cold case to use this lab's facilities. And now they came up with the idea, I don't know whose idea it was in Idaho, but let's send it to this lab to get what we needed. Therefore, they had the garbage run in Pennsylvania, where the state police in Pennsylvania were able to get DNA from Coburger's father. They were able to tie that to the lab and to the knife sheath, and that's how they solved to their best belief that Coburger is a suspect.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, listen, Howard, we appreciate you coming on. You're the one who broke this information. We didn't even know that Texas was involved. So thank you for coming on tonight and explaining what you learned.
Appreciate talking to you, and I've loved your reporting too on the case.
Oh, thanks so much. I appreciate that. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
If you don't know who Howard Bloom is, I just forgot about him and his big old words. He didn't use any that time, but every Airmail series I remember us reading through that he did, he tried to use the largest words that have never been used in the English dictionary ever. But I just remember that. I just remember that whenever I was looking at him. Yeah, sometimes if Ashley can hear us, sometimes she'll get in the shower and then she'll come back and she'll be like, "Oh, I'm back. I was in the shower." So why does everyone else think that they sent this sheath to a DNA or an independent DNA private lab? Myself personally, I don't know. I was thinking about it earlier and I was thinking maybe it's because Brian wasn't in the system that police normally check. They use APHIS and CODIS. So maybe they went to an independent lab to make the match between him and his father. That's something different than a direct match, like a familial match. And maybe that's why they had to use an independent lab for that. But that's something I am not sure about. But I do have something to point out to you guys though, from the PCA too. And I'll point it out after this video that really made me question. I was like, wait, what? So I want you to get your guys' opinion on it. So this is going to be the next video that I was telling you guys about. This is going to be Banfield talking with Mark O'Mara. And he seems to think that it's going to hurt the prosecution. So, because Howard Bloom is just an author. But he seems to think that, I don't know. I think he writes his Airmail after everything's come out. So I don't understand why people think he's, like a police or something. See, that's what I was thinking is about. Maybe they specialize in genealogy DNA. Yeah, where they do more familial stuff. Very, very, very different. Very confusing. The other lab was more sophisticated, could get DNA from genealogy form of forensics. That's what I was thinking. That's okay. So you guys are thinking the same thing that I was thinking. So I'll go ahead and play Banfield because y'all know I love Banfield, but I think she's really too invested in this one. I don't know where she's going with some of the stuff. The way she asks it, it's she's wanting to make the question go a certain way or the answer go a certain way. Oh, you had to take a load of firewood, someone's campsite. Oh, I bet they're having fun, whoever they are, but not you, honey, because you're working. That's nice of you to do that. I would tell them to go find some sticks themselves. That's what camping's about. Me over here is talking about camping when my brother has a big camper and everything. But I do camp in a tent when I do camp.
There is also this incredible reporting that the knife sheath that was found at 1122 King Road, up on Maddie Mogan's bed beside the bodies of Maddie Mogan and Kaylee Gonzalez, that knife sheath that was left behind with the trace DNA, apparently sent out of state to a startup in order to process. Don't know if that means the lab in Idaho, the state lab, wasn't good enough. But that's where it went to identify. This is a really good time to bring in Mark O'Mara, criminal defense attorney, civil rights attorney, smartest person I know in the law. I am curious right away, Mark, before I even get to the document stuff, about that knife sheath. Because all I can think of is the defense attorney saying, wait, the state of Idaho you couldn't do the job of finding any DNA on that knife sheath? You had to send it, outsource it? Does that mean that's going to be litigated and fought and contested and diminished by a defense attorney at trial?
Absolutely, because again, defense attorneys look wherever they can find to find a potential of reasonable doubt. And when there is a test, either that they have to do unique, they have to go out of state, they have to do it a second or third time, or it's inconclusive, those are little items, little catchphrases that defense attorneys use to see if there's reasonable doubt there. Now, again, it's got to be taken in comparison to all the other evidence, but certainly a defense team has to be pretty happy that that test did not come back positive to Coburger's DNA on it, for example. So yeah, it's something they're going to look at.
Yeah, okay, then I want to just ask you, and this isn't very exciting, but I just want to get your take on the state's terse response to, the defendant's second supplemental request for discovery. Show me your cards. Basically, they said, you just sit back and be patient, young man. Is this standard op, or is there something to it when they say, you don't need to file? We'll give it to you when the law says we have to give it to you.
Yeah, and that is sort of standard. You hit it right on the head. If they had something specific they asked for, like give us the fingerprints, give us the DNA, give us this witness statement, yes, you would see that. But the request was somewhat generic, and the response was just as generic.
Do you have 10 seconds you can give me on the Brady Giglio and tell me if it's Giglio or Giglio?
Absolutely. I use Giglio. That information is that which shows non-guilt. The government has to do that, which makes sense. If you know something that's non-guilt, show it. Giglio moves it over to credibility of witnesses. If you know credibility of witnesses, which is why we saw about the internal affairs investigation. The state's going to be very careful, put everything on the table so as to not give the defense a reason for appeal should a conviction occur.
Yeah, I can't wait to find out what that investigation is all about, as I'm sure everybody watching right now feels the same way. But Mark O'Mara, I always love your answers because they make so much sense and you don't use all those, 4-syllable words. Thank you for this.
Great to be here. Be well.
Thank you for.
Bill said, Bill here. I love that. You didn't even need to be fancy. That's all you had to say, and we all knew you were here. So people are going glamping where Ashley works. Ashley Higgins, not Ashley Banfield. I want to glamp. We actually go camping. Me, Vincent, 2 big dogs, and a 3-person camp or a 3-person tent. That ain't glamping. It was terrible. We only did it once. We only did it one time. We were like, we're done. My brother had a camper in front of us, so it was like they were living in luxury over there with their air conditioning, and it was the hottest summer, the hottest day of the summer, hottest weekend. It was like 106 degrees. I'm good. I don't glisten. I sweat. So I was like not having that. No, none of that for me. No glamping, no camping either. So they keep saying on here, on all these news stations, that they sent this DNA out to an independent lab. Howard Bloom said it was an independent lab in Texas. So in the PCA, though, it says, and I'm going to share this with you guys because maybe you guys can help me better understand this. But it says right here in the PCA, whenever they're talking about entering, Maddie Mogen's room, at the end of this paragraph, it says, the Idaho State Lab later located a single source of male DNA, suspect profile, left on the button snap of the knife sheath. So why does that say the Idaho State Lab? Shouldn't that say like this lab in Texas? Maybe I should blow that up a little bit for y'all so you could see it. You guys couldn't even see that. There, that's a little better. But yeah, it says the Idaho State Lab later located a single source of male DNA, suspect profile left on the button snap of the knife sheath. So why did they not put that Texas independent lab in there? Margot, that's funny. Me too. Me too. I don't know, Super Greek. I don't know why he went and he off 3 other people. If his intended target was indeed, Kaylee, but I don't know. For some reason, I'm thinking Maddie. I don't know. Whoever it was, it's devastating, but I think it was definitely one of those 2 girls. Okay, Idaho found the DNA. Okay, that's what I was going to say. Is it because they found the DNA, but they just didn't find the match? So that's why I bring this stuff to you guys, because you guys make things, AZ makes things, you're making things sound like, I should change my banner, but You make it sound like that's plausible. Everyone that's coming in, that's probably why everyone was asking about 2-year-old Taylon. I was wondering why, but 87 days until pretrial, Teresa said. She's got a countdown. I love that. Me too, Tony. I feel like that too. I feel the same way. I feel like, yeah. So that makes sense that, okay, so the Idaho State Lab, but would it be the Idaho State Lab that found that? Wouldn't it just be an officer that found that? Howard Bloom explained it. Was it on the other girl's channel? Megan. I saw some of that. I stopped watching like after like a little bit because his sound is terrible. Oh, maybe Stevie. I was reading the question before I got quiet. It says, genuine question. If the Idaho lab sends it off to a Texas lab, like Texas one, and the Texas one sends results back, isn't it still technically like the Idaho lab that found the results, just didn't specify how? Could have. Oh, the interview with Dan Ambrose, we just watched that and I didn't even catch that. I didn't even catch that when he said it, A to Z. Wow. And you know how many times I've watched that? Probably 3. Taking notes. Yeah, I was just wondering because I saw this one here and I was like, are my eyes deceiving me? Because I went to school for criminal justice, but I never really got into, like, we got into DNA and stuff, of course, but never where it would be sent to. And if there'd be people sending it, over state lines, that would be, I guess they just wanted an independent lab because they probably needed it for the genealogy reasons. And I know that there's a few different channels that mentioned a few different officers that they thought could be the one, the officer that was involved. I don't know personally who it could have been, but it could have been something as minor as, I'll share this with Tabitha, but it could have been something just as minor as them flashing their badge when they shouldn't have, having an affair with somebody in the workplace, up to, something even worse, like, tampering with evidence or search with no warrant, things of that nature. Okay, lab, found the DNA, but only has the capability to match it to the actual person the DNA came from, not a family member. That's what I figured. Okay. Because I know that they usually just use like CODIS, APHIS, things of that nature to, get their matches for fingerprints, DNA, things of that nature. So, wow. So this video, another neighbor comes forward to say that Brian Coburger was a loner and that he was a night owl, which, I mean, that sounds like me. No offense. I mean, like, I'm not, I'm not like Brian Coburger, but I'm saying I do stay up kind of late sometimes and I do walk around. But they just said that he was very, like, kind of disruptive to the point where this guy's wife wanted to go up the stairs and say something to him, which to me is kind of strange. If you're, hold on a second. So like, yeah, they live, that's just, yeah, that's strange. He must have been making hell of a lot of noise for them to hear him like that. But yeah, so I wonder, I wonder why the family, this family that we're going to see, I wonder why they live in the student housing, because this is student housing. And so like normally like students or doctoral students usually live there, but it sounded like these people were like a larger family, but that's just the way it seems. But I don't know, maybe there's just 3 of them that live there and they're students or something. But to me, he sounded like, I don't know, he sounded older. But yeah, so we're back at Steptoe Village. We did do a little virtual tour in there one day where you guys could we could walk in the apartments to see what they look like on the inside. And yeah, they're not the most welcoming.
Find out from these neighbors, Alex.
Yeah, good evening to you, Ashley. Some really interesting details about Brian Coburger, his living habits, and what it was like essentially to be his neighbor downstairs for the past 5 months. As you mentioned, this was a father of 2 young little ones. And so I really entered this conversation from that perspective of a father who has 2 young children. And he expanded on that a little bit about sort of what that was like for him, essentially, especially after that news came down about Coburger's arrest. But when it came to actually Coburger's behavior, what I found out is that essentially he was a loner, right? This neighbor said that he never saw Coburger with other friends, other people. He never heard other voices upstairs in that apartment. And so he just basically said all the noises that he would hear were from Coburger himself. And let me tell you, it came late into the night. It sounds as if Coburger was a night owl, would often be walking around well past midnight, washing things and just being generally disruptive. And that became a problem for this family. Essentially, this man told me his wife was so fed up because her little babies were trying to sleep downstairs, but she just kept hearing a ruckus upstairs that many times she wanted to go up, knock on the door and confront him, ask him to quiet down. But this man told me that he had to.
Okay, so just think about how loud you have to be if you are living upstairs and they can hear you like that. I don't understand. Like, I don't know. I've never in my life, we've lived here for 6 years, 7 years, and we have people underneath of us. Like, there's 4 people in one building, and we have never had a noise complaint. And we have dogs, and I sound like a stampede of men when I walk. My mom used to tell me that as a kid, and I used to tell her, You're crazy, Ma. But now I hear it. When I hit that hardwood floor, I hit with my heels. So if I'm not getting no noise complaint, I wonder what he's doing. What are you doing up there, Coburger, at midnight, 1 a.m? Cartwheels, somersaults? What could you possibly be doing? Or maybe these people are just, I don't know, exaggerating a little, but I don't know.
To basically just tell his wife, calm her down, and just let her try to go back to sleep as best as possible. But really fascinating details about who Coburger was as a neighbor. These were just some of the few things that he told me. We have a moment that we want to show you from that interview. Take a look.
Did you realize when you heard about the arrest it was him? Gosh, what was that like for you?
Yes, I and my family very shocked. Yeah, especially my wife. At that time, she could not sleep very well. Yeah, she's worried about it. He is unrest.
Did you ever go up and ask him what he's doing at midnight, or?
Sometimes we go and I'm here. Sometimes they made a noise in bother us. We wake up, and sometimes my wife want go outside to knock the door, but I stopped her.
She never did.
She never did.
And obviously that neighbor having that in-depth conversation with me, telling me he wants to remain anonymous because he has been bombarded by various reporters, but saying it was okay to use his voice. So you heard from him there, not only sleepless nights because Brian Coburger was his upstairs neighbor and he was loud, but also after that arrest was made, more sleepless nights just because it all dawned on them that we were so close to this accused killer. I just want to show you real quick. This is where Brian Coburger lived. That's that second story apartment right next to the letter G. The gentleman I spoke to is directly below that. So this is right here in Pullman, Washington. As you mentioned, Ashley, this is an area that is reserved for Washington State faculty and also students. Everyone else that I knocked on, many of them didn't answer their doors, but another gentleman who we didn't get on camera was also a student. He told me a little bit about what it was like living with Coburger, but mostly the big picture here is that he kept to himself. He really didn't have many friends or people around. He didn't really make small talk out there in the parking lot when you would see your neighbors. It was never really friendly, but of course it wasn't really negative either. So not much to say other than the behaviors that one would be able to find out when you are actually living directly below someone.
Can I ask you about this? I want to dig a little deeper on the noises after midnight. I think that his wife had said there was a lot of like footsteps and like laundry or washing going on upstairs. Did you get a sense?
Don't let Banfield get it twisted. You know he does not have no washer and dryer up in that apartment. So he wasn't doing no laundry. So what else could he be doing? We got to make some guesses here because he didn't have any friends. That's what everyone's saying. So what was he doing? Dancing? Tangoing? What are we doing? Sharpening a knife doesn't take a lot of noise.
Alex, that this was all the time for 5 months, or that this was something that was very recent, like after November 13th or the night of November 13th, you know, that kind of thing?
Well, I would say that he said it happened on multiple occasions over the course of his time living there. So I don't think this is necessarily something that was, that caught them so off guard after November 13th. Oh my gosh, this is completely different. I think this was just generalized behavior of Brian Coburger, that he was up all hours of the night, I should say, just doing things, walking around, pacing, washing dishes, washing laundry, who knows, but just being generally disruptive all throughout the night. And if you can imagine, for a family that has 2 little ones, that becomes a problem. They're trying to go to sleep because they have school in the morning. And not to mention, if he's a faculty member, then he has also his responsibilities to take care of. So it really became a problem because multiple times his wife wanted to go and confront Brian Coburger, but as you mentioned, who knows what would have happened if she did that.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com.
That's so funny that you said something about separating the trash, because hold on a second. Let me get to my notes real quick. I got something funny to tell you. So, okay. So earlier today, I'm not going to say the creator's name, but I did hear another creator say that it was common for people to go through their trash and separate it. They said that that was common. I commented on it, and I normally will keep my mouth shut, and I normally don't comment on things, but they're not from this country, so I thought, well, maybe they think they're about recycling. And I'm like, because he said people in Pennsylvania have to do that. They have to separate their trash. I'm from PA. Arlene, you in here, girl? No, I don't think Arlene's in here. But Arlene will tell you, you don't have to separate your trash. And if you were, you would separate it into recycling bins. Who the hell is going to touch their own trash? Who touches their own trash around here? I don't. And I'm OCD as they come. I'm cool. Everything gets thrown away here. If it looks at me weird, it gets thrown. Like if it like, I don't know, if the wind blows the wrong way, I am throwing something away. Like that doesn't probably even need thrown away. Yeah, he was separating it from Cleveland. Yeah, he was separating it. Like, I just don't understand why the guy didn't just maybe not throw any trash away. But I guess he kind of had to keep it up, keep up the gig. But I mean, I'm from PA, and we never had to separate our trash. Now, growing up, we recycled. But you're not going to go through your trash and be like, oh, a banana peel here, apple or there. Oh, my, plastic bag from Target here. Oh, my lordy. Oh, my Lord. I just don't even know. My thing is, I don't like clutter and trash to be out. So I would be just throwing it away. Oh, I'll have to look at it. I know my mom used to go to the Poconos, but it was back. But I've heard that it's not as nice as it used to be. Like, people don't go there and ski and stuff. And I guess compared to they used to, but this was back in the 70s. I don't know. Yeah, separate baggies. Maybe he was getting it ready for the police. That's probably what it was. He was separating it for the cops, so they'd have it all ready. I don't know what he was doing, but he was doing something funky. Something that he shouldn't have been doing. What is this? Oh, wait. Oh, I went backwards, but I don't know. I was going to show you guys something else, but I'm trying to find it. Okay. So, another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. So, before anyone comes in here tomorrow, maybe I'll nip it in the bud today. Because last Saturday night, I don't know if you all remember, but I had about 10 people come into the chat. We weren't even talking about we were talking about Idaho 4, but we weren't even discussing about DoorDash or anything. And I had like four to 10, I would say, people. It seemed like it was a lot, 5 to 10 people come in and say, you need to be watching this video. Did you watch this video? Tawny, did you watch this TitaniumBuilt? Did you watch this video? So they were referring to Crime Circus's video, and he was stating that Brian Coburger was the DoorDash. So I went through 7 reasons why I feel like that he wasn't the DoorDash. Then today, he put out a new video, and his reasoning was stated that the reason why Coburger killed the Idaho 4 was because they didn't tip him on the DoorDash order. So before anyone comes flying in here tomorrow, I did see his newest video, and I'm still sticking with I don't think he's the DoorDash driver. So I just want to nip that in the bud tonight. And this is one of the many reasons. I'm going to share this with you. So he says on his video that Brian Kohlberger's using a burner phone. I like Crime Circus, but he's just, something's going on with his videos the last few times. I'm just like, what is going on with this? What is going on, dear Lord Jesus? So I looked it up because I was just sitting there listening, and well, actually I listened to about 10 minutes of it, and I turned it off because I was like, I can't do this. And then I was like, no, go ahead, because people are going to say something, to you. So, because I mean, they really did last week. They were flying through here. I was like, whoa, guys. Because I had seen his video. I just didn't say anything because, I didn't want to bring it over here because I didn't think that it was true. So why are we talking about Donnie Wahlberg? But I like Donnie Wahlberg. I was like, he's the guy from Blue Bloods. Actually, he's the guy from New Kids on the Block. Let's not get it twisted there. So, over here, DoorDash requires you to have a phone number, and it requires you to be valid and active. The system will recognize if you try to use a burner number or a fake mobile number. Even if you manage to succeed your initial verification, the system will recognize it and block you. So if you try to use a burner phone, like when you're trying to do DoorDash, it's saying on here that no, it'll block you. Oh, Crime Circus real identity is Donnie Wahlberg. That would be really crazy if he was. That's just crazy. That'd be so crazy if he was, but he's not. Like, stop laughing. Because I'm just thinking of Donnie Wahlberg with those spiders on his face. Because I don't really watch Blue Bloods, but I do because I watch News Nation. I just leave it on. And so from like 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock is Blue Bloods. And so, because I haven't listened to New Kids on the Block since I had my New Kids on the Block pillowcase. Melissa said I'm laughing my ass off. Man. So then DoorDash, I can't even do this anymore. Up here, so DoorDash requirements. And in case anybody wants to be a DoorDash driver, you can actually DoorDash with any vehicle. It's not like when you Uber and it has to be, like a 2000 whatever and above. I didn't know that. You Love Blue Bloods is about, well, then you need to watch it on, that's what channel it's on. It's on like the same channel as News Nation. So I don't know if you guys get that over in Scotland, actually. But you guys should get it. Man. Blue Bloods. Okay. So we're talking about Donnie Wahlberg. And didn't think we'd be talking about him tonight. To see I'm done, Somerset. So if you want to drive for DoorDash, the requirements are you have to be 18 years or older. So he is 18 years. So check mark, check. Vehicle, any car, scooter, or bicycle, check. He has to have driver's license number, social security number, and consent to a background check. So did he check? Oh, thank you for becoming a new member, Crazy Grandma. It's good to see ya. Welcome to the Titan family. My family thinks I'm nuts. I have AirPods and I laugh so hard. They asked if I lost my mind. I that was like the opposite for one time, like one night in here for me. It was during the it was like the opposite though. I was like actually crying. It was during the candlelight vigil for the Idaho 4. And Vincent had went to think Columbus that night or something. And I was like, when he comes home, he's going to think like, what's wrong with her? And like run in there and be like, cause I mean, I was, doing all the, making the noises I felt like too. Like I was like huffing and puffing, but I do laugh a lot. And Vincent always catches me. I'm like, I'll be yelling at the iPad. I don't know if you guys do that. Like whatever you're watching, like YouTube on, like you yell at it. I do that. And I also found that, I don't know if you guys watch YouTube on your phone or if you guys watch it on your computer, but I find watching it on a computer or iPad is much better than watching it on a phone. It's easier to find stuff like the content. I don't know why. This is the last little video I was going to show you. It's just like a few minutes long. So I'll play this and then we'll see what she has to say for herself.
I have marked on my personal calendar 44 days from today. And you should too. The reason is because if you're watching me, the chances are you're probably pretty fascinated with every move and every change and every development in the Idaho murder case. And 44 days from today is May 12th, and May 12th is the end of the semester for the University of Idaho. And it's not just the end of semester for the kids, it is the deadline that the university itself gave us for the demolition of 1122 King Road, where the murders occurred. So they said they would take the house down before the end of the spring semester. And that means that no jury will ever be able to visit that house because Brian Coburger is not going to be tried for many, many months. And it could be many years. I have covered some trials, believe it, I am not kidding, in America, that it has taken 10 years to get to trial. And I know you're going to argue with me, and that's for another night, but it can take a very long time to get to trial. That house is coming down in a matter of weeks if the university stays on course. So we got this exclusive close-up the other night at News Nation, and we took you around the back to show you something we'd never seen before, a very, very close-up look of the back of the house where the killer is said to have entered and exited. And that's a view that the jurors will never get. It's an angle that the jurors will never get. Which is, a little surprising. However, I do want to say this. Jury visits can be finicky little things. They can be very, very risky things. Sometimes the lawyers who request those jury views, like Alex and the security guard are showing you, regret it. And sometimes they celebrate it. Case in point, listen to this.
Either side can ask a judge for a field trip to take the jurors out of a stuffy old courtroom and then put them literally in the footsteps of the victims and the perpetrators. And either way, it's a crapshoot. In the Murdaugh trial, the crime scene visit was requested by the defense, who thought that if the jury could experience the magnitude of Moselle for themselves, they might better understand Alex's alibi and be a lot more skeptical of the prosecutor's claims that Alex did both murders all by himself. And we all know how that worked out.
Guilty verdict.
Prosecutors had opposed the Moselle visit since it wasn't exactly the same place that it was back in June of 2021. The trees had grown up between the kennels and the house, for one thing. And that's the main reason, besides cost and logistics, that jury visits are pretty rare. Years often pass between murders and trials, and while photos and videos and diagrams don't change, places do change. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to...
So yeah, I guess they'll be taking the house down. What'd she say, May 12th? Around May 12th? Which I was trying to read the academic school year for the college the other day, and it was confusing me for some reason. I don't know why. So I'm glad that she specified that on this. But yeah, that's so crazy. That they're gonna I didn't know that they were gonna take it down that soon. I knew they were gonna take it down after the spring semester, but I wasn't sure when that would, be. But I guess time's flying by because tomorrow's April 1st, and if you all tried to play any April Fool's jokes on me, I'm gonna get you. Just kidding. I'll wake up and have like no subscribers in the morning. I'll be like, what happened? But yeah, no, I thought that was kind of funny because I didn't even realize that tomorrow is April 1st. I think that them taking a jury in there is just unrealistic. In my mind, it's unrealistic. I mean, even if you fit, how are you going to fit that many people in there? It's already a biohazard, I would think, but those hallways, that house is 3 stories, but the hallways and the bedrooms and where everything is situated, getting 12 jurors in there, 2 lawyers, a judge, bailiff, whoever else, court, like people that you need, I think that would just be real crazy. Just to cram everybody into that tight of a spot. Somebody said, we'll just have them go in one at a time. And this isn't a scary house. This ain't like a fun yard or whatever they're called with the mirrors and shit. 2 at a time, for real said. No, not 2 at a time. No one's going in 2 at a time, for real. He said that right when I'm saying someone said, and I know it wasn't for real that said that the last time either. Yes, it does bother me when it's raining. That's why I can turn my camera on, but I've been literally doing messing with it, and as soon as I said that, I had to mess with it. But I'm always nervous that I'm just used to being by myself, so I can get a tissue and mess with it, and I don't want to scare you guys. And you'd be like, oh my God, why is Tanya touching her eyeball? Guys, I don't want to freak y'all out. That would be freaky if I was not me. So that's why my camera's kind of been off tonight, because I didn't have makeup on today for the first live because I just literally jumped out of the shower and was like, oh, I'm going to jump on live because, I really wanted to get Taylin's story out there. And then tonight, yeah, it's been bothering me, but when it rains, it really bothers me. And my metal, my whole body just hurts. It's even the nerves. They just act funky. I don't know. Is everyone getting thunderstorms or bad storms tonight? That's all I really have for you on Idaho, so I can kind of take her off. Let me make sure.
Screen to my left.
Okay.
Lights up.
Well, says thanks for watching. Doesn't look like they got his dad yet. Taylin's dad. I was just looking at that. Oh, look at my hair. I had to pull it up in a little bun, and then I had an instant headache right before we went live, and I was like, yeah, I can't do that. Rainy in Northeast. It's rainy here. Yeah, it says it's raining. I don't hear anything, but I heard that we're getting thunderstorms tonight. All yours fell under the bed. No, I've been putting eye drops in my eyes today, and I normally don't have to. I just really don't normally have to, but I've been using, oh, they're over there, but I've been using these steroid kind of eye drops I got from, the doctor gave me for after surgery, because they tell me to use a gel-based drop that makes your eye feel oily. I'm not down with that. I am not down. Let's see, is there anything, oh, what's this? Okay, never mind. I thought that was something else. Has anyone heard this is not about Idaho, but this is about Lori Daybell's case. But have they ruled on allowing the grandparents to sit in the court? I bet you that Teresa will know that. Oh, you have to use a steroid drop? I wonder if we use the same one. I think mine's in like a white bottle with like I think it comes with like a yellow clear, like a yellow packaging on it. Oh yeah, there is. Oh, Isabel, thank you for reminding me. There is an update on Trent, but it's not a huge update, but it's an update. He's still, I believe, in like kind of in the same spot he was at, like in the hospital. But let me double check online because I do have this update. Where did I write it? Oh, so they searched the house where Trent was attacked. They're gathering digital evidence. And I guess 9 people, 9 boys or 9 people. I don't know if it was men or boys. I don't know if it was girls involved, but 9 people were involved in like one of the first attacks that happened on him, or maybe the second attack. And then there was 11 people, including I think some of the 9 in this second or the third attack that was really bad. The one that just put him into the hospital. So Cheryl, you have to check out our live we did yesterday. Trent, he is a gentleman, Trent Learcamp. He went to a friend's house. He thought they were his friends, and they did horrific things to him. There's like nothing that I can even say that they did to him that was even like not torturous. I mean, it's, oh, the grandparents hired a lawyer. Okay, well, good for Valor grandparents. Okay. Or JJ's grandparents and Tylee's. But yeah, they did unspeakable acts to him. They defecated on him. They urinated on him. They poured alcohol down his throat, antidepressants. They tied him to a chair while doing this. There's pictures out there. And then they dropped him off at the hospital. And 3 of them did. And they asked him, can we leave? Can we leave him? You got it from here? And he almost died. He was on a ventilator. There was a huge rally. This woman put it together. Oh my Lord, bless her heart. He is alive. He is coming out of the ICU as of right now. And hopefully there's no brain damage. I mean, he was breathing only 6 breaths per minute when he first went in. But he's young. That's what's good. I mean, the dude's a brick house if he's already come this far. And they did all that stuff to him. I mean, I'm surprised I didn't get like a note from YouTube today. Because I always say all the wrong words, you know. Well, it's hard not to say like those words. It's hard for me to say like unaliving when I'm talking about something so horrific. But I know at one point in my YouTube career, I'm going to have to probably say that. So the algorithm doesn't like hate me. I did talk about Taylin Mosley today. We actually did, we did a live this afternoon. So I didn't talk about last night, did I? Nope. So we did a live this afternoon. We did one over last night's press conference, and then the press conference today. That was the one we streamed live. And then I came on early because Teresa told me they're doing an 8:15 live presser. So we came back on. I came on a few minutes before 8:15 and said hello real quick, and then we jumped right into the presser. They found him. They found him inside of an alligator's mouth. I pray he was deceased before. I pray he was deceased before he hit that water too. I don't even know. I just pray that baby didn't feel anything. He didn't see anything. I know that's asking for a lot, but those officers, my heart goes out to everybody that saw that today. I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. It's terrible. Very, very sad. And I really thought it was going to be like, you know, I didn't think it was going to be that. And I didn't think it was going to be that graphic. I thought if they did find him, okay, they found him deceased, maybe like in the woods, or maybe like, and someone said that they had taken like a trash receptacle out. So I was thinking maybe like a Leilani Simon kind of deal. but I was never thinking alligator. And like, I'm sure that he was already dead before that. So yeah, alligators are nuts. Yeah. And like, it was just, I'm wondering like, you're confused. Okay. So we were talking about Trent Learcamp, but now we're talking about Taylon. Oh my gosh. I can't think of his last name. Why is my passion Jeffrey Taylin Mosley? Sorry. I was thinking her last name for some reason with him. So what it was today we got a new case in. It was an Amber Alert that came in yesterday for Taylin Mosley, and his mom was murdered, and this 2-year-old was missing. So he was found today, but he was found inside of an alligator's mouth, inside of a pond. So the father is been charged with 2 counts of murder. They are looking for the father, I think, at this point, or they found him. He's in the hospital. They've arrested him. We're still trying to get word on that. I've still been trying to look that up. And then we switched because we were ADHD in this chat, and we switched over and we were talking about Trent Learcamp, and he's the boy that's 19 years old that went to a party with some friends, and hazing gone wrong isn't even the word for it. It's torture. It's kidnap. It should be attempted murder. So make sure you guys check out. We did some live streams on both of them. Yeah, and the dad had been in the hospital all day for wounds that he sustained from, we didn't know if she had been, but they confirmed tonight that she had knife wounds, and that's what he was in the hospital. So it's just crazy. Oh, heck no, y'all don't play around in Florida. Heck no. Texas, Florida, y'all don't mess around. I said that earlier. I don't do that. I would never mess with those states. I know where to not go to commit any crimes like that. Y'all just throw them right to the wolves, you know? I mean, as you should. As you should. So I think that's all I have for you tonight. I'm really sad that we didn't have a better outcome. I mean, we were able to come out of the live and do a live, but I don't know how the news people do that. Like, man, especially if you're there and you're like in with it, you're in the search and you're just like, real, oh my Lord, have mercy. I wouldn't be able to do it. I would get too emotional, but that's just me. I'm sensitive sometimes, you know, I'm sensitive. And the lake was miles. That's what I thought you said, Teresa. It was miles. Yeah, it was so far away. I wondered if it was closer to the father's house. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to switch it. Like, oh yeah, and then breaking news, like this happens, and then and today's stories. I just like, oh my Lord. I'd be like one news story a day for me, and I'd be crying the rest of the day. Because it's always something sad, it seems like. No, he's not a father. You're right, Cheryl. I just pray that little boy did not feel anything, did not see anything. And I know she fought. I know that mama bear fought. You know, it's just, I hope she didn't see anything. Either, you know what I mean? Like, I hope that it was just not like anything like that. But I'm going to jump off of here. Tomorrow night, I'm going to do okay, so I had put together, we had watched Idaho, for the Idaho 4, we watched all of Ethan Chapin's parents and like families, like interviews, Maddie's, and Zana's. But we never did finish up the group. We never did Kaylee's. So we're going to watch, I have like them all collected. Like they should still be in order. I'm praying they are. Like all in order, and we'll watch those tomorrow and just kind of see what they were saying. I feel like the parents knew a lot more than we knew. Like that, you know what I mean? And the cops were letting us know. So I feel like that would be, a cool thing to watch. So no, the boy survived. So Trent survived. The one that got like the really bad, it's not even hazing, like tortured. He survived, but Taylon, he did not, unfortunately. He did not survive. They found him today, so. I will see you guys tomorrow in the live. You guys have a good evening. Say a prayer for, Taylin's family. I don't know if I think it's Jeffrey is her last name, so I'm not sure but I know his last name is Mosley. Just say a prayer for everyone all the way around. This isn't terrible news. And Idaho 4, 4 people lost their lives there too. And at least we're getting a little bit of closure. Hopefully we're moving towards closure in that case. I don't want anything bouncing around, him getting out. If he's not the person, I don't want him sitting in there. But he looks like he's right where he needs to be. I think that if anybody else was the killer, that they would have that person in custody, or they'd at least have another suspect out there, so that they would be asking about. So you guys have a good evening, and I will see you guys all tomorrow. Bye, guys.